Yesterday the family got up early and we were really hitting it hard. We had lists of all the things we were going to do and getting all the stuff done around the house, and everybody was really tired just about 3 or 4 o'clock or so. And I went to Mrs. W and I said, let's just knock off a little bit early today and load up in the van, and we'll go down to our local bakery in town and get some cardamom buns, and we'll head across the river and go get some ice cream at our favorite place, and just take it easy, you know, just kind of enjoy, rest up again for a long, hard weekend. So we loaded up and headed down to the local bakery, and like many restaurants, well, like pretty much all restaurants in this area, there's no longer any indoor seating, and so our local bakery now has converted the front door into kind of a walk-up window with the cash register, and you know, and the woman working there sitting way back there, and then they've converted the front window to have all of their different baked goods and such in there, and it's everyone's standing, you know, in line there and 6 feet apart and that whole deal, right? And so when I pulled up, I'm not used to this mask thing, right? I pulled up and I see that everyone's wearing the mask, and they're all wearing a mask in line, and then I'm watching the person that just paid. She pays and grabs her sack, and then to the left is a little parking area there that they have cordoned off where everyone's enjoying their meals, right? There's benches and people are sitting and kids running around. There's probably 20 people in there, a lot of people in a very small area, maybe 40 by 40, 50, yeah, by 40 by 40. And with all the masks off, right? And so I'm looking at, so I'm trying to understand this, right? So you wear the mask in the line, which is outside, people are far apart, because we live in an area where people are a highly compliant area, I'll put it that way. And then there's no masks. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, this is odd. So I have, you know, that thing I wear around my neck and I pull up. So I thought, well, you know, it's hot. I'm not going to put that thing on. I'm standing in line outside. When I go up to the cash register, I'll put it on, you know, not to offend. I understand, you know, I get it. So I'm standing in line and I'm the next one up, and I hear behind me, about 2 people back, there's a couple, probably about in their 40s or so, a little short guy and his woman. And I hear them having a discussion, and I'm starting to figure out that they're talking about me. And the guy says in kind of a low voice, "Put on the mask." And I'm thinking, surely this guy's not talking to me. Is he talking to me? I'm just going to ignore it. Hopefully he'll go away. I'm going to grab my rolls. I'll be out of here. I'm not going to go over there with those people. Just going to get in the van and go, right? So then I hear his woman, you know, this was his woman's idea the whole time. You know, she's nagging at him and trying to get his courage up to say something. And he says it again. He says it louder this time, and he directs his voice at me and says, "Put on the mask." He's speaking to my back of my head, right? I turn around and I make eye contact with him to the point where he looks away, and I said, "Make me." And, you know, of course he skulks away, and, you know, I mean, he's like 5'6", and I'm 6'4", 210, 215, unfortunately. You know, I'm a big guy. I'm an intimidating guy physically, and for him to do that, of being such small stature and, you know, not a manly looking type of guy, to me was really surprising. That speaks to me of how strongly people feel about this and how much fear that there is out there. So I was a little upset. I shouldn't have said anything. I should have just ignored him and not did that and just got my stuff and just left. And I told myself next time, I'm like, I'm not gonna engage. I'm just not gonna put myself in a situation where this is gonna happen again, because I don't want a confrontation. I don't want to have problems with my local townspeople, right? Jumped in the van. We head down across the river, and we go to our favorite ice cream place. Of course, the same thing, right? They no longer can you go inside. It's a small building, and they have this beautiful, nice little grass area, and they've always had nice Adirondack chairs, and there's always kids. It's kind of the center of town, something we always look forward to. Now, of course, all of the seating is all gone, and you can't go inside, and there's a line, and the masks, and the whole thing, right? Like, okay, so we put the mask on, right? Stand in line and get our ice cream, and we're standing around there, and of course, you know, if you've ever had ice cream with little ones, you know, they make a mess. Like, Sweet Loaf's got ice cream everywhere, and I'm kind of phobic about that anyway. I don't like stickiness on my hands. And so they have a nice little porcelain sink that's mounted on the outside, a little tiny one, a little hot and cold running water there, and it's really nice little step there. Nice to take your kids there and rinse off their hands and get that sticky off before you put them in the car. So I take the Sweet Loaf over there and hold her up, and we're washing her hands off and getting her cleaned up, right? Well, one of the girls working inside the ice cream place slides open the window that's right in front of the sink and starts screeching hysterically, telling me to step away and get away from the sink because they don't have any way of sanitizing it. And I just looked up at her and I said, "We're almost finished. We'll be out of here in 5 seconds." Well, she escalates it, and now she's in complete hysterics. There's a huge scene. Everyone's looking at me. I mean, it's really uncomfortable. It's not something that I thought I would ever experience in my neighborhood. And I look around the back, they have public restrooms there and that are available to customers, and there's been a nonstop line of people going in and out of these public restrooms, using them, washing their hands in the two sinks there. And I don't see any employees going in between sanitizing or cleaning the facilities, right? So again, craziness, a double standard. Step away from the sink. We don't have any way to sanitize it, but you can go around the back and use the public restrooms. And that's the thing that's hard for logical people to deal with. And when you start to see these things, you start to, if you're an observant person, you realize that maybe this is not a health issue as much as it is a control issue. And as a watcher of people, as someone that's like myself, that's very observant, I guess what I came away from that is I really thought when we got to this point that when these rules and these things were coming down that don't necessarily always agree with science, that it would be a group of people, even if it was a small percentage, that would push back and say, no, this is crazy, we're not going to do this. You're just cherry picking things and you're just making things up as we go. It's hurting people, it's inconveniencing people. We're not going to do this. It's just not going to happen. But the more that I watched the reaction of folks when I was out in town yesterday and how willing they were to comply with this, it dawned on me for the first time that I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think there's ever going to be anyone to stand up and push against this, some of these things that are coming out that, in my opinion, are lunacy. When I was working as a traveling construction superintendent, one of the big jobs I did was in downtown Detroit. It was the first time I'd ever been into a major, huge city that was really gritty and rough. And if you haven't been to Detroit, it's rough. Those beautiful buildings that were built by the auto industry in the 40s and 50s were boarded up 3 and 4, sometimes 5 stories high. There was nothing around there but like payday loan and hair salon and nail extensions, that sort of thing. It was just blighted. Parking meter heads busted off, power lines that had lain down on the ground, broken signs. You could see that, the guys that fix all that stuff, they haven't been in there for years, right? They basically just walked away from it. Essentially, it was escaped to New York when I was there. What happened was so interesting is, I asked my question, when the neighborhood started to deteriorate, how come the folks that lived there and had families, stores, businesses, how come they didn't push back against that? Why did they just walk away from it and leave it just to go wild? Well, what they did, and what I realized over the weekend, because I had the weekends off in company car, I would take that opportunity to go and drive and look around in the countryside. And I saw all these folks that had once been down there now are a big ring around Detroit. And they've moved and basically started their own things. And I think that's kind of what we can expect to happen today. I was really hoping in the statue things that I didn't see really anyone standing up to defend our statues that were being pulled down, right or wrong. I'm not taking a side on that. I'm just saying that it surprised me. And I just don't think that enough people in this country have the grit, and they have too much to lose, and there's too much fear, and that rather than push back against it and try to take back some sanity, I think the only thing that's going to happen is folks are just going to start leaving. And I know that to be true. Something that is really interesting in this area, we have a lot of friends that are realtors. And if you don't know what's going on right now, realtors are very busy. There are it's unbelievable what's happening to properties out here. There's been properties that have been for sale. We watch, for us, we'll talk about investing here, what you can do with your money in this condition, or what we're going to do. But one thing I think that's a good thing to do is to buy real estate locally, where you're at, stuff that you can actually go stand on and manage. What we're seeing out in the country here is these properties, some of them that have been for sale that we've been watching for 3 and 4 years because they're overpriced. We're waking up every morning and everything that goes for sale is pending, meaning that it's being sold. And the realtors said that we've never seen anything like it. I've been doing this, one told me, for 40 years. I've never seen anything like it. We cannot keep anything. The moment we list something, it's sold. Well, who's buying it and why? Well, who's buying it are people from Seattle, people from San Francisco, people from Portland, all up and down the West Coast in these major cities. They are the people that are wealthy. They are the people that see the writing on the wall, and they are the people that they are the rats leaving the ship. They are the canary in the coal mine. Sorry guys, I had to restart the camera. The focus messed all up. And I pride myself on doing these in one take. Canary in the coal mine. The two smartest people that I know have a lot of real estate holdings, commercial and residential, in the Portland area. And both of them have liquidated everything. Sold it all, got rid of it, dumped it, bought big tracts of property in the country. Do they see something? Do they know something that I don't? I do know this, that they've been like oracles to me, and every time any advice that they have given me has been like the advice from God himself. So I see this happening, and I think that a lot of folks that are plugged in see this happening as well. Let me run this scenario by you. What do you think is going to happen after the day after the election? Regardless, there's a lot of folks that are working under the idea that, oh, if our president Donald Trump gets elected, he'll get it all sorted out. You know, then the gloves are off and he'll be able to get things corrected. I don't think so. I think it's going to kick off worse than anything, and I don't know that it would be any different if the other side got elected. There's going to be accusations of voter fraud. I mean, good grief! Can you even? It's already starting now, and we're not even there yet. What is going to happen when these police forces are overwhelmed? What's going to happen when twice or 3 or 10 times as many people are in the streets burning and rioting and protesting? Do you want to be there with your family? Do you want to be there with your business? I say you don't. Now is the time. It is, you know the story of do you know what Pella, the town of Pella, do you know the significance of it? Maybe you've even heard of a company called Pella Windows. It's a very clever play on word. So in the New Testament, 70 years AD, this is 70 years after Christ was crucified, the Romans finally came in and had enough of the rebellion, the Jewish rebels, and them trying to shake off the yoke of Rome and not paying their taxes, and they finally came in and they leveled the city. Well, an interesting thing that happened is when the Roman army was surrounding the city of Jerusalem, for some unknown reason, they pulled back. Well, those of us who are believers know the reason, right? And they call that the Pella window. And they pulled back for just a short time, and those families that were able to grab their things and get out, they weren't hindered by the Roman army. They let them pass, but a majority of them went to a town called Pella. That's why the Pella window. It was an opening, a window of safety for those groups to go out, and they left, and they lived. What happened to everyone left in the cities? Well, it was leveled. Not one stone was left upon another. They were all taken, those who weren't murdered were taken in as slaves and worse. So, is it going to be that bad? Is it going to be a biblical type of event? You know, I don't know, but it's not going to be good. I strongly, strongly advise you, while you still can, if you live in this environment, to do whatever you have to do, even if it comes down to pooling money with other family members and buying a place together that you can go to, a place of refuge, because that's what happened to Detroit. I think is what's going to happen to us here. People are going to leave because it's no longer safe, and it's going to be a lot better to have that worked out now than it is when everyone else is on board. The canary in the coal mine was sent down with miners back in the day, because they didn't have sophisticated gas monitoring systems, and they could break into a pocket of a noxious gas of some sort, and it would come upon you slowly, and guys would suffocate down in these holes because they just know, you know, it's a airless, tasteless, smelling gas with no smell, whatever it is. I don't know all the details. So they would take a small canary in there, because canaries are very delicate, and they would watch that canary, and the moment that canary stopped singing, it was laying feet up on the bottom of its cage, they knew to get out. So I am your canary in the coal mine, and I'm telling you, get yourself prepared. Do what you have to do, and we'll talk more about that. This video is getting a little bit long, but couple things. So what should I do? And I work in the city and I don't know how to make a living here. Well, two things that I think are going to be very valuable. I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this for the next video. Let's do a part 2 because I really need to get into this. But there's a couple things that you can do, a little bit non-traditional, that a lot of folks I think are not thinking about, that are going to be in great demand very soon, very, very soon, regardless of the riding. We'll do a 2-part on this, but I'm gonna wrap it up here. But I am concerned for everyone. I'm concerned for our country. I wish it wasn't going to happen this way, but the tide is coming, and you can stand and be swept up with the tide, or you can start building a boat, and I recommend you build a boat. Thanks for watching. Keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families, and we'll see you guys on the next video.